So just kind of first get-go, kind of each of you explain, and also know that it isn't like a longer package, it's more short. So if you guys can just, not telling you guys to be brief, but be real brief. Don't go on a long tangent. So just first, I want to know from each of you or whoever wants to share kind of how are you here? Like, how are you connected to Karen? Just tell me, like, why are you here today? Whoever wants to go first.
All right, I'll go first.
It'll most likely not be in. I just want to know your background of why you're here and your connection.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm a resident assistant for campus housing, so we have a lot of programs that we incorporate the health promotions office, and that's how I'm connected with Karen. And then also alongside with Alex, we worked with the Invisible Wound Project, which was a non-profit organization that was centered around like adverse childhood experiences and childhood trauma. And so we got connected with Karen and Sarah in the health promotions office as well that way. So yeah.
And one of the things about the Invisible Wound Project that he mentioned, well-being and resilience doesn't just pertain to people our age or even beyond. It starts the moment that you're conceived, and to have health and well-being throughout your entire life will pay off and unsurmountable.
Anyone else want to share, like, what you do and like why you're here? So like your go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm in the post-bac pre-medical program, and the reason I got to know Karen was I'd been meditating for a while, and it helped me a lot. So I wanted to start up a club here to help spread it, and I just sort of researched who was the big person on campus, and it was Karen. So I got in contact with her, and then we've been collaborating since then, and she told me about this, so that's how I got here.
Cool.
I actually work with health promotion. I'm a nutrition navigator, so I'm one of the student health leaders. So I just started this year, so that's how I'm connected to health promotion and Karen.
I also work for health promotion. I'm a health advocate leader with stress resilience, and I'm also a flash nep expert. So I also work with Karen.
I know Karen through the Peace Center, so I volunteer there, and it's our prevention, education, advocacy center on campus for personal, power-based personal violence and like sexual violence, stalking, and domestic violence and stuff like that.
Well then for these questions, I'm going to ask kind of a list of questions, and not everyone, if you don't want to answer the question, you don't have to. It's more I just want at least 1 to 3 people to answer the question. But if you do definitely want to say something, don't hold back if someone's already spoken. So the first thing, just kind of in general, what can you guys tell me about well-being and resilience, and how has it impacted your life? Who wants to go first? You're ready, tell me.
Me?
Yeah, you went like this. So
I did? Well, personally, coming into college, sometimes people are like impacted in a lot of different ways, and they have a lot of things on their plate, and it's a big change in their time just because they have so many more responsibilities coming in. And oftentimes people just like want to have that perfect balance in their life, but oftentimes that's not very achievable. So resilience and like well-being could be just having a very nice balance, but it's obviously not going to be perfect, and being able to cope with different experiences that you go in and difficulties and adversities on a day-to-day basis. So just simple and sweet for me.
For me, well-being came with like my health, and once I became aware that I was able to make differences in my own personal health, like mental, physical, I started to have confidence to change like my surroundings. So I started to get more involved and participate more in everything. Like I said yes to this thing.
No, nothing wrong with that. Sorry to interrupt, Karen. Do you know it's like pretty hot?
Yes.
I went and checked. They can't.
Hands are sweating.
Okay, it's okay. Just had to ask. Okay, all right. Anyone else want to respond about it? About resilience and well-being and how it impacts them?
I will.
Okay.
Okay, so for me, well-being is kind of my regulator. I have my hand in a lot of different dishes. I am involved in a lot of different things on campus, and I find myself very busy and forgetting to take care of myself sometimes. And so for me, well-being, practicing meditation, making sure that I get enough sleep, watching what I eat, all of those different things is me making sure that I'm taking care of myself and my own health.
And like she was saying, one thing about well-being is that like you have all these different components such as fitness, sleep, mental health and whatnot, but if one of those components starts lacking in your life, then it can sort of have like this cascade effect where it affects all the other ones. So if you don't get enough sleep, your fitness levels are going to go down. If your fitness levels go down, your mental health is also going to do that, and your grades are going to take an impact as well. So it's all kind of collective. If you focus on one thing, then the others are bound to change.
Do you guys want to say anything?
For me, it's really been about mindfulness in particular. I mean, wellness is kind of a broad term, but being able to come back to the present moment and not getting so distracted in thoughts, worries about the future, and reminiscing on painful memories in the past, I think that plagues a lot of students and it hinders their focus. And so being able to practice mindfulness meditation and train yourself to come back to the present moment, you can cut through a lot of the stressors and anxieties that students, I think, are often plagued with, and just people in general. But.
Well, you don't have to answer. Okay.
I mean, I'll go ahead and answer since everyone else did. I just feel like building resilience helps you to become more adaptable. So whether that's coming to college for the first time, being away from your family for the first time, or for me personally, like I studied abroad for a semester, so I had to be very adaptable in a situation like that. So being able to build those resilience techniques helped me to be successful when I was doing that.
Well, thinking back to your freshman year, guys, what would you say was the biggest challenge, like some of the biggest challenges, or what made you kind of stress out or make you anxious? What was it about it, your freshman year? Like coming from high school to freshman year.
For me, it was not saying yes, because I used to say yes to like everything, and like the more of stuff that I agreed with, the less sleep I would get, less time I would be able to socialize and stuff like that. So like refraining from making commitments, like I know that college is like, especially first year, it's exciting and you want to try all this new stuff, but at the same time, once you make a commitment to a bunch of these different things, you have to either keep that promise or break it. And if you keep that promise, then you're bound, like you were saying, like you don't want to neglect your own health. You don't want to, stray away from maintaining yourself. So kind of just maintaining that balance.
Anyone else? Like, was it the amount of people? Did anyone come from a smaller college, or just the workload? Was it harder?
For me, it was the workload. Because in high school, you have a lot of people who kind of tell you what to do and how to do it. And then also the work is generally just easier. But in college, it's basically all on you to learn, and it's no one's making you do it. So all the work and all of the learning is on you. And that was very stressful for me at first.
Kind of similar to Haley. It not only is, people aren't telling you, how to study or that you should study, but people also aren't telling you that you need to be going to the gym, or, you should probably try to get 8 hours of sleep and, everything like that. So kind of being thrown into this world where, my parents and my teachers and my coaches aren't there guiding me, where I feel like I'm kind of on my own in that respect. That was the biggest struggle for me in trying to find like a rhythm to really settle into.
All right. Feel free if you guys want to chime in. Okay, so then we talked about some of the challenges. And so then tell me, what tools in relation to the well-being resilience do you all use to help combat that?
I use Insight Timer. So it's a meditation app, and it's free, and it has a lot of guided meditations and music, and there's a silent timer on there too. It's really nice, and it's been really helpful because it also gives you reminders, and once you build a routine, it's pretty easy to stick to.
I actually learned this from Haley and Karen in one of their programs, just flash napping. I used to nap all the time, but it'd be like longer than I thought it needed to be. So like I'd be napping for like like an hour and a half to 2 hours. But honestly, that would like go into my REM cycles and would kind of like make me more tired rather than less tired. But once I learned about like flash napping and also meditations and PBSS, which is just like breathing and like talking good to yourself and things like that, I was able to like take maybe between the PBSS is just like a few minutes or like even less than a minute. But then also flash napping could be between like 10 minutes to 30 minutes really. And I would like be so refreshed and energized after my nap, and it would keep me going for the rest of the day. And like if I would take it in the middle of the day. So that's one thing that I
really
remember very well. Yeah.
To go off what Barad said, PBSS is the biggest thing that I do. So what that is, that's a mindfulness technique that engages deep diaphragmatic breathing, and then also positive thinking and positive self-talk to focus in your thoughts and in situations that are overwhelming or stressful. It focuses in your thoughts so that you're more clear-headed, you're more focused, and you're more calm and have a calmer reaction to those stressful moments. And it's meant to be practiced like all throughout the day, even when you're not stressed out, so that that becomes the initial reaction. Instead of stressing out and freaking out, the initial reaction is calm and resilience.
The tool I use is meditation. I kind of see it as a tool because it's a tool to kind of step back from your thoughts and see your thoughts as opposed to inhabiting them. Because when you do that, you kind of you mentally teleport to that time, whether it's in the future or in the past, and then when that happens, your body engages in a sort of a physiological response about that time period. And by meditating, you can kind of cut that loop by just realizing that it's just a thought and letting it go by, and then you're back in the present moment. So you're cutting that loop of thinking, generating emotion, generating thought, and then you just come back to the present moment. And the present moment is generally a pretty peaceful moment. So like I'd say the tool for me has been meditation itself.
Well, the two of you seem very into meditation.
Yes.
Right. So tell me, what was your life like before meditation? And like, talk about the change. For someone who doesn't do it, like, I'm like, tell them like how much has this, what were you like before you started meditating on a daily basis?
Well, I would say I was just caught up in the habitual thinking that I think we all are, and I still do at times, about worrying about what other people think about you, worrying about all of these contingent scenarios that can happen in the future that would be bad and that will probably actually never happen, and just caught up in that incessant chatter, that voice in your mind that's always, oftentimes negative and causing you to do stupid things. And once I started meditating, I could kind of cut through that and just kind of let that voice go. And so I think I was more self-conscious before I started meditating and had worse anxiety and more stress. I think a lot of the problems that college students face, mental health problems. So
I was also really anxious, and I had really low self-esteem, and that would spiral out of control into sometimes like depression. And with meditation, I got to live in the present, and when I take away the anxiety, then I get more confidence because I'm doing more things. And then when I start to do that, the depressive episodes go away. And so generally I'm just a lot happier and able to be in the present all the time. And I engage more in everything that I do.
And for people at home, you all would say it can range from a minute to, like, what would be good enough? Like, just what would you encourage for someone at home?
I started with 10, and 10 was fine for me, but you can even start with a minute, just being alone and closing your eyes and just breathing.
I would say any amount of time that you think you could do is the amount of time that you should start with. And then if it expands, that's great, but if you're only able to do a minute, I think a minute's better than nothing, and it might get your foot in the door that can then allow that door to open up as you go on.
So talk to me now specifically where we're talking about the well-being services on campuses for students who are coming in. So talk about here at UofL, what are some of the services there are and that you have used, or did you know about this, or did you just come into it? Like, how has the well-being services impacted you all?
Well, I'll start. So I kind of have done a lot with well-being services here. So I work at health promotion. So even through that, just being with my fellow student health advocate leaders. I've learned so much more about like PBSS and flash napping and everything like that. I've also learned how to manage nutrition better, being a nutrition navigator. So I've learned how to eat well to feed my body, the nutrients that it needs, and to feed my mind. And then kind of with that, I have also, I need to start over that answer. I'm really bad at this.
No.
I need to pull this. Hang on. Sorry. So with like dealing with some of the like mental health issues that I feel like, especially in the past couple years, have really flared up with me, I actually discovered through campus health, like the medical side of campus health, that I have some different physical issues going on that were then causing me to have things like spouts of depression and spouts of anxiety. So I think it's really important to like listen to your body, and through doing things with health promotion, that's kind of what led me to look further into what could be causing these issues. So I feel like I've done a lot with campus health services here on campus that honestly has changed me for the rest of my life because of the physical health issues.
It's good that you looked for help.
Yeah.
So for incoming freshmen, I know in my example I didn't really know about the services. So talk about, I guess in your responses here is something of just advocating for these services on campus. Like, what would you tell a freshman that there is available to them? Like, what could they do?
I would want to tell them everything that we have. We have so many different services. We do have the clinic. We have medical services. We actually have. I need to start over. Okay, sorry. We have so many different services on campus. We do have the medical side, but then we also have the different services that health promotion offers that focuses on your mental well-being and getting enough sleep and your nutrition and your fitness and sexual health and relationships. And I feel that it's important that every freshman coming in knows about all of these, because if they know that this is available to them, I feel like that's so many parts of their life that, like, they have other things that they're worrying about. They're starting college. They have other things that they stress about. And these are things that they don't need to stress about. And all of these services are here to help them figure it all out and work through it. And so I feel like they need to know about everything. And I know that I definitely didn't as a freshman. I didn't know about most of it until my sophomore year. And I wish I had known. And now I do. And I'm the better for it.
To add on what you said, like, once you do know about like one of these services, or you're connected with one of them, you will be wanting to like take the next step yourself. So like you'll easily be connected and be wanting to implement these into your daily lives like on your own afterwards, because you know the impact that it can have on you.
So just taking the first step. So just for sometimes there's a stigma. It's getting a lot better. But what would you say to someone who maybe is hesitant or is like, no, I don't need that. I'm fine. Like, I don't need to work on my well-being, but everyone does. But what would you say to someone who has those thoughts?
Well, I think a lot of people think there is, it shows weakness, first of all, to come and seek help, especially about something in mental health. But I would just say that whether or not other people show it, like, all people are pretty much having these issues, these stressors, these anxieties, whether or not they're broadcasting it. And so if you feel like you're having them, like, reach out, because other people are going through the same thing. And so if you just reach out, people are going to want to help you, and they'll probably be able to come out of their shell more too. So I just focus on that shared, the shared aspect of the mental health issue.
Yeah, I think when you walk into those centers, you go in with the mindset like something's going to fix you. But I think for me, the most powerful thing was knowing that other people had the same problems that I was having. And you become more honest with yourself and the people around you, and you get so much more from the world if you're honest with how you feel, and you realize that everyone else is feeling the same ways, and you guys can work through it together, and you feel connected.
I think I would emphasize to incoming freshmen that these campus health services, so whether it's health promotion, it's the Peace Center, it's the clinic, they're all safe places. So you can be as anonymous as you want going into those places. You know, it's not like a big siren's gonna go off whenever you walk in the door. So I think just emphasizing that to freshmen would help to get some more people to partake in those services.
Okay. Great. All right. Well, we're almost done here, more than halfway done. But let's talk about social media. So tell me just kind of, because we're in an age now that social media is all the time, especially for these incoming freshmen. Like now, whenever in the past when you got bullied or someone was bothering you, you could go home and forget about it. Now it's like if someone makes a post about you or something, it's online, so you always have your phone. So just kind of talk about maybe something that's impacted you with social media, and then how you use resilience and well-being to be the better for it. Like how you use it now and how it would have affected you back then before you learned all this.
I think social media just takes a problem that's been around forever and exacerbates it, in the sense that I think people always were worried about what other people thought about them and worried about their status in the group. But social media just takes it and makes it so that it's always there, and you can always see people and they can always post about it. And it's not just when you're out with them. You can still be stressed about it when you're inside your house. And so it just takes, I think, a very old problem and makes it much worse. And so the same tactics that people have been using for thousands of years to combat these problems, I think, are just as effective today, and maybe even more important, which is something like mindfulness, coming back to the present moment, and not getting caught up in these thoughts about what other people think or what other people are posting on social media, and just coming back to the present moment and the peace that is here in each moment. So I think these same tactics that have been around forever can be applied to this modern setting where it's like super needed.
Can you read the question one more time?
Well, okay, it's a convoluted question. Basically, the first part of it is, before you knew about these services and just kind of about well-being and resilience, how did social media affect you I know social media has positive ways, but just kind of negatively, like before you could handle it, like how would it affect you?
For me personally, social media back in like high school and even back to like last year, social media was a big point of what am I missing out on? I would get on social media and I would feel bad because, oh, I'm not doing this, or oh, I wasn't with that group of people that just posted this picture. And it makes it really hard to be in the present moment when you're really, really into social media. It makes you hard to feel as good about yourself and what you're doing and what you're involved in. And so coming into college and discovering all of these mindfulness techniques that I do now and learning how to be in the present moment, I haven't given up social media because I like to stay connected with people that I know, but it's become easier to set it aside, and it's become easier to bring myself back to that thought of not so much what am I missing out on, but the present moment, and what am I doing now, and what's important to me now. And so social media has become less of a way of seeing what other people are doing, and social media has become more of an expressive thing for me.
Yeah, I think I spent a lot of time on social media my freshman year, and it's gotten easier now, especially with the support of friends. Like I have this small circle of friends, and we all agreed to take a week away from social media together, so it doesn't feel as like you're missing out as much. Because a lot of people I think a lot of people have the same thoughts that this isn't good for me, and I feel anxious when I look at these things. And so if you find a friend and you're like, hey, let's take a week off together, it feels better.
It's a cool idea. Well, do you want to share anything?
I'm good for
Okay, that's fine.
I echo everything they said.
Okay. So then, kind of wrapping it up here, thinking back to your freshman year, or just kind of your start in college, is there anything you would have done differently, or is there any advice you have to freshmen, like, really, I wish I had done this?
So one of the things, this is kind of going back to meditation, the feelings and the experience that you have while you're meditating, it's not like exclusive to the actual act of meditation. and I'm talking specifically about like the feeling of losing yourself in something. If you have an activity that you enjoy, like I'm a musician, for example, so whenever I'm playing guitar or piano, I'm losing myself, and I forget about anything in the future and the past, and same thing with meditation, you exist in the present. So if you have an activity that you are really passionate about, it could be sports, music, video games, whatever, reading, make sure to set time aside every week or every day even to really do that, because if like it can kind of also be a first step into meditation, because if you are really enjoying that feeling of being present in the moment through the activity that you're doing, then why wouldn't you want that more through the additional activity of meditation? So I would just suggest to always keep in mind the stuff that you're passionate about and make sure to set aside time for that.
Some advice that I would give, knowing myself as a freshman, it was really hard for me to admit that I didn't have it all figured out, and to admit that I had room for improvement and maybe needed a little bit of help. So that's the best advice that I could give to freshmen is there are so many people who are experiencing what you're experiencing, and you're not alone, and you're not going to be looked down upon for seeking to better yourself and seeking to figure out what's going on with your body and your mind, and to ask for help if you do need it.
For me, high school and school before college, I pretty much knew the academic side, but going into college, I wasn't as aware of what a healthy relationship looked like, or just relationships in general with me and my body and me and my friends and other relationships. And so I think that with the health services, and especially the Peace Center at UofL's campus, I was able to learn what's okay and what's not. Because a lot of times you don't really get taught that in your high school health class, but a lot of times that you can start to see like warning signs early on, and I think that's a really, really valuable tool.
My advice would be to not take your thoughts so seriously. Thinking is really important, and you need it for school, but a lot of your thinking is actually not true, and you're going to believe it no matter what. All of your worries and your anxieties, you're going to think that they're true. You're going to think that all of those people are definitely thinking that thing about you. But it turns out a lot of times they aren't, and it's a lot better, it's a lot more practical, and it's a lot healthier if you just focus on this present moment and try to do the best you can in this moment.
I think just kind of thinking back to how I was my freshman year, similar to don't take your thoughts so seriously, I would just say in general, just don't take things so seriously. I mean, I thought my life was going to be over because I got a B in a chemistry class. And a lot of that stemmed from how I was in high school. I was always taking the honors classes, I was always like top 10% kind of thing. And so I feel like a lot of that kind of transferred over into my freshman year. And then that really just tore me down mentally, thinking, this is hard. I even thought maybe this isn't, like maybe I'm not cut out for this, which is crazy to think, as a senior now, that I thought I wasn't cut out for college. Because, in reality, 1B, 1C, like it's not going to affect you that much. Especially if you look into those tools and those resources that maybe if it is affecting you a lot, that those things will help you get through that. So my advice would just be not to take things so seriously.
Also, I wish I would have done those like programs where you get paired up with like a senior or something, because as a senior now, if I had the chance to just sit down and talk to a freshman, I would tell them all these things, and it feels better than having a therapist tell you, because it's someone that just lived through it. And so I wish I would have taken advantage of programs like that.
Yeah, and like utilizing everything that you have. Overall, like coming into college, you're going to be stressed. You're going to have a lot of things to worry about, and being able to cope with them is very important. So like to add on like what everybody said, like setting aside time for yourself and utilizing the tools that are out there for you to make things better and easier for yourself. And it'll pay off in the long run. It will. And unfortunately, I didn't get to do that really until like the beginning of my sophomore year, and I'm still using and I'm still learning more. But setting aside that stigma and realizing that it's not really a weakness, it's actually a strength, that you get to be able to reach out to all these different resources and learning about yourself and the people around you. So yeah.
Great. Well, anyone else want to share anything or any final thoughts or something you really want to put out there?
Go Cards.
Well, just so I have the info, just because I can make a mention. So you just started a meditation or
mindfulness meditation club.
Okay. So you would say you were actually inspired through the well-being services at UofL, or what would you say?
Well, so I reached out to those services,
yeah, you reached out.
because I had started doing this on my own before I came here. And through that, I've been exposed to more of the well-being services through Karen and the whole health promotions. So I reached out to her, and then together she's actually the advisor. We just got the RSO passed. So now that's another example of something. This is more bottom-up, grassroots, that like the students are coming together and trying to create things that can help other students with mental health. So it's just another opportunity to reach out and get help and be supported by other people.
Yeah. So Mindful Meditation Club.
Mindfulness Meditation Club.
Mindfulness Meditation Club.
Yes.
And then the two of you are also doing a project together. What can you speak to that?
It's called the Invisible Wound Project. That's the one that Barad mentioned initially. It's a nonprofit, not focused on the well-being really of college students, but allowing college students to provide essentially tips and mentorship to children much younger than us in the city of Louisville to improve their well-being and their mental capacities. And we're in partnership with Big Brothers Big Sisters. So the main portion of our nonprofit would be mentorship, because mentorship pays off in the long run. It provides a role model, it provides an outlet for those students and youth to talk to, and it's just been proven that it alleviates a lot of symptoms of childhood adversity and toxic stress and whatnot. So we're looking to pair up the college student landscape, our peers, with that of the nonprofit.